Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. So I'm Hello Buddy. This video is the chapter 15 Ecology STPM Biology Semester 3 series video. So this video will explain the topic biogeochemical cycle. Okay, so this video will explain biogeochemical cycle. So there are total 3 cycles you have to learn. Carbon cycle, phosphorus cycle, and last one is sulfur cycle. Okay, so first we have to learn the definition of biogeochemical cycle. So actually, this term biogeochemical is three fields that combine together. So it consists of biology, geography, and chemistry. So this is why it combined become biogeochemical cycle. So it is the cycles where the chemical element or inorganic substance are passed from the environment through a sequence of living organisms and back into the environment. So this is why it called biogeochemical cycle because it consists chemical element, chemistry, and then it can pass from the environment. Environment is under geography lah, and then through a sequence of living organism, the sequence of living organism is under biology, and then back into the environment again. So this is why it called biogeochemical cycle. Okay, the first one is about carbon cycle. Okay, carbon cycle, your name is carbon. So it involves in any carbon. So carbon, if you think carbon, what you in your first mind, if you think carbon, the first mind that you will think is carbon dioxide. Mainly it is carbon dioxide. And then the second one, maybe you can think about fossil fuel, fossil fuel, kereta minyak. Kereta minyak also the carbon. And organic compound, all of the organic compound contain carbon. Like organic compound, even your biological molecule, except water, all of they contain carbon compound. Right, protein, your protein, and lipid, nucleic acid, and also another enzyme, and nucleic acid, enzyme, protein, carbohydrate. These all are contain and lipid also contain carbon. So carbon cycle. So this we will learn carbon cycle. So the carbon for the carbon, the mainly in the world or for the earth mainly were present as a sedimentary rock, such as limestone. Carbon carbonate lah. Normally it was store in the sedimentary rock in our tanah tanah kami, tanah kita yang bawah-bawah semua bawah-bawah punya. And carbon this is for the solid, but for the gas it can present in the atmosphere. So carbon dioxide, the gases in atmosphere is carbon dioxide. For the mainly present in solid state is sedimentary rock. And then it also can present in the water. In the water also contain carbon. So if in the water it can present in form of carbonate and bicarbonate. Carbonate CO3 2 negative, and bicarbonate bicarbonate HCO3. If I don't think so, HCO3. Okay. The movement of carbon between the atmosphere, ocean, and organism is carbon cycle. So these three are I just introduced the form of carbon in each state. So for the solid state is in the sedimentary rock, the gas state is carbon dioxide, and then the water state is liquid state is carbonate or bicarbonate. And if they are interact to each other, they change. They have the chemical reaction with each other. This is called the carbon cycle. So it is one cycle. So the atmosphere, and then the solid, and then the liquid. If they interact to each other, then you will cause the carbon cycle. One carbon cycle will occur. So the easier way, the carbon cycle occur. So for the plant first, plant because we will absorb the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. It will produce glucose, right? So photosynthesis by photosynthesis process. So the plant will absorb the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and then produce glucose by photosynthesis. So the producer, consumer, and decomposer are undergo cellular respiration that will release carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. So not only they absorb carbon dioxide, then another consumer, even plant also in the night, and other consumer or microorganism also, they will release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So actually this is already one cycle. So the carbon dioxide is absorbed by plant, and then it release oxygen and glucose, and the consumer absorb oxygen and then undergo cellular respiration, release carbon dioxide again into atmosphere. This is already one cycle lah. And then when the producer is eaten by consumer, the organic compound is passed through the trophic layer. So the consumer that like the plant, the herbivorous animals like cow and sheep and deer, they only eat plants, and they will eat the producer that is plant, and then the organic compound will pass through the trophic layer. So the organic compound will pass through the consumer and another consumer and another consumer again and again, like the food chain. So the carbon will pass through the, like if the rabbit eat the plants, and then another organism like the wolf eat the rabbit, the wolf will obtain the carbon from the rabbit. So it will pass through to each another. Okay. Sometimes, okay, so that's all for the relationship between the consumer, but also carbon is in biological molecule and is not recycled back to the abiotic environment for a long time. So that if the carbon is in the biological molecule, they will not release to the environment again for a long time. And the carbon was stored in the wood of trees for several hundred years. So fossil fuels are formed from the dead organism within 1,000 years. So after this organism the the carbon will enter to the decomposed by microorganism. The carbon will enter to the tanah lah. Tanah sangat sangat dalam punya tanah, and then the fossil fuel will form. So it is formed from the dead organism within 1,000 years. So normally the fossil fuel need the 1,000 years to produce. So the fossil fuel, why it is very expensive? Because of the timing to produce the fossil fuel is very long. And then the combustion will also return the carbon to the atmosphere. So if the human to do the open burning or other burning in nature, like forest burning or other burnings that do made by human, also will release the carbon to the atmosphere. So in the combustion, organic molecule are rapidly oxidized and converted to carbon dioxide. So this one I sure you already know. All of the organic molecule is rapidly oxidized. Even you know the alkane, alkene, alcohol, ester, all of these compound are rapidly oxidized. If you undergo combustion, they will release carbon dioxide. I don't know, you forget, you still remember that chemistry, organic chemistry, alkane, alkene, alcohol, ester, one combustion equation. If you know that combustion equation, it will release carbon dioxide, right? The final product is carbon dioxide and water. So it will release carbon dioxide to the atmosphere also. So carbon that is stored for millions of years is incorporated into the shells of the marine organism. So the carbon that already at the million of year, it will incorporated to the shell of the marine organism. Okay, next, this is for marine what? For the marine organism. So when the marine organism they die, their shells sink to the ocean floor, and sediments cover them, forming seabed deposit. This means that mayat mereka akan tenggelam lah, mestilah mereka akan tenggelamkan kerana marine organism tak macam lantai punya mereka boleh gali macam human gali lubang then we letak mayat di situ. Let us decompose. But the shell, the marine organism, we cannot gali the lubang tenggelam mereka, tak boleh. They just tenggelam, they just sink on to the ocean floor, and then the sediment will cover them, and then finally they will form seabed deposit. These deposits are eventually commented together to form limestone, a sedimentary rock. So if already seabed deposit forming deposit, if many seabed deposit and need to stay a long time, it will form a limestone. So repeat back again. The cycle is repeat back again. Okay, then when the process of geologic uplift expose limestone, the weathering process slowly erodes it away. So geologic uplift expose like earthquake. The nature things is earthquake or tsunami. If human is like mining process, geologic uplift expose like mining process. This is human made one. If nature is like earthquake or tsunami or volcano, so it will expose the limestone, and then the weathering process will slowly erode it away. So it will slowly erode this limestone and then release the carbon to the atmosphere or even the land. And this will return the carbon to the water and atmosphere when it is available to participate in the carbon cycle once again. So this is one cycle. So actually is easy to understand. So firstly, you just remember carbon dioxide is in the atmosphere. And then who use carbon dioxide? Plant, right? Plant will use carbon dioxide to undergo photosynthesis to produce glucose, and it will release oxygen. Okay, consumer, we will use the oxygen and the glucose to release the carbon dioxide. So already one cycle already. And then consumer to each other, the predator will eat the prey, and then the carbon will transfer to one to each another. And then for the mammal organism also, they will undergo aerobic respiration. They will also release carbon dioxide into water and into the atmosphere also. And if the organism are die, even not on land organism or marine organism, they die, they will they are decompose they will decompose, and then the carbon will release it to the land. And then for the marine organism, it will deposit under ocean floor, and then will cause seabed deposition, and then finally it will form sedimentary rock. And when there are geologic uplift exposed like the tsunami, earthquake, or even volcano like for human is mining process, or we gali minyak kereta minyak tu, they will resulting geologic uplift process, so it will release again the carbon to the water and atmosphere again. So this is one cycle. Dia tak ada satu, dia do not have the destination. It will just cycle and cycle and cycle again for every day. So this is all about the carbon cycle. Okay, next is about phosphorus cycle. Okay, phosphorus cycle is the very spacious cycle which it does not exist in a gaseous state. In nature, the phosphorus will not exist in gaseous state. It will just only exist in solid and liquid only. Solid and liquid only. There were no any phosphorus substance in our gas, in our atmosphere one. It does not enter atmosphere one. So in our air, our atmosphere, there were no phosphorus at all and at all. But for the carbon and sulfur, they are exist in gaseous state. But phosphorus never exists in gaseous state. Okay, so the main reservoir of the phosphorus is in the rock also. It is same as the carbon. The main reservoir is in the rock also. So this like this is the rock. And then the phosphorus cycle is start from the land and then to the sediment, and then in the ocean, and then back to the land. So in the land, in the raw, and then it back to the consumer, and then back to the sediment, back to the ocean, and then back to the land. Like that lah. One cycle lah. As okay, so the first we just begin from the rock. So when the water run over the rock, so the weathering process occur, it will gradually erode the surface of the rock and carry off inorganic phosphate. So when the weathering process occur, the water weathering the rock, it will release out the inorganic phosphate ion to the land, or ocean. You have to remember that it will not release to the atmosphere because it does not exist in gaseous state. It will just release to the land or ocean. And then the root will taken up the phosphorus, phosphate in the form of the inorganic phosphate. So the root of the plant will take this phosphate, because phosphate is one kind of important nutrient to the organism also. Because once they enter the plant cell, the phosphate were incorporated to a variety of biological molecule. So if you think that, you will know that our biological molecules, some of the biological molecule contain phosphate, need phosphate, like nucleic acid. Nucleic acid need phosphate. Why? Because nucleic acid, the uh, basic component of nucleic acid contain phosphate group, and also ATP, ADP, and another for photosynthesis, and ADPH also need phosphate, and then our phospholipid are also need a phosphate. So the phosphate actually is very important also to the organism. So when the plant take the phosphate, uh, take the phosphate from the root, they were incorporated to form a biological molecule and function for the in our metabolism lah. Okay. Next, for this that for plant, animal, how does animal can obtain phosphate? So we obtain phosphate from plant, because plant obtain phosphate from root. So animal, we obtain phosphate from plant. Like that lah, one cycle. So animal with plant or stage uptake inorganic phosphate, and then we animal eat the plant. We eat the plant to obtain the inorganic phosphate. Or also drinking water also can contain a small amount of inorganic phosphate also. And then the sum of the phosphate are adjusted in phase or excreted in dry leaves. So these are the extra phosphate that already adjusted in phase for adjusted in phases or excreted in dry leaves. So inorganic phosphate released by decomposer that later absorbed by the soil. So the decomposer will undergo decomposition when they already decompose the organism that already die. The soil will absorb the organic phosphate. Okay, then the phosphorus will move through the food web as one organism consumer another. And then for phosphorus cycle through aquatic ecosystem and terrestrial ecosystem. So means that aquatic and terrestrial ecosystem are related to each other. And then the dissolved phosphate enter aquatic ecosystem through absorption by algae and aquatic plants. Aquatic plant example zooplankton. So it actually aquatic is same as terrestrial only. Just it is in the water only. It is in the water. Like our aquatic plant also uptake the inorganic sulfate, and then the aquatic organism, aquatic animal will obtain the phosphate from the plant also. And then when the aquatic organism are die, they will sediment in the ocean, and then after decomposition, it will absorbed by the soil again. Like that. It's totally same as terrestrial. Okay. And then the decomposers will break down the waste and dead organism to release inorganic phosphate into the water. So decomposer, after the organism, I already repeat, after the organism that already die, not tak kira plant or animal, they already die, the decomposer will break down this organism, right? So they will release inorganic phosphate, phos, phos, phosphate, and then it will absorb by the soil, or even, or also it will release into the water, also into the ocean or river. Okay, and then the phosphate can be lost for varying time period from biological cycle. Because this means that because the phosphorus cycle is not exist in atmosphere, so it is very limited compared to the carbon and sulfur. So it is limited. So maybe it will lost in varying time. So maybe sometime ocean will, like the consumer will lose the phosphorus. If the consumer, because the consumer only can take the phosphate from the plant. So if the consumer does not take a plant, do not eat plant, the consumer will not get the phosphate anymore. This is the one of the advantages for the phosphorus cycle, because the consumer cannot obtain the phosphorus from the air. It is different from the sulfur and carbon. Okay, stream and river carry some phosphate to the ocean where it is deposited. This is just stream and river contain phosphate, and then it will river to the ocean. And then the geologic process of uplift may someday expose this seafloor sediment as new land surface from which phosphate will be once again eroded. Again, mining of to produce fertilizer return organic phosphate to the soil. So mining process also will release the inorganic phosphate to the land, to the soil also. So this is all about the phosphorus cycle. Hopefully you can understand. So phosphorus cycle, the most important thing is you have to know it is not exist in gas state. It only exists in solid and liquid only. Okay. 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 The last cycle is about sulfur cycle. So okay, sulfur cycle is exists in gas state, solid state, and liquid state. All state is same as carbon cycle. Exists in all state. Okay, sulfur is an important macronutrient because it is an essential component of protein, enzyme, and nucleic acid. Yeah, it is an essential component for many components. Protein, enzyme, and nucleic acid need sulfur. And then the naturally produced sulfur in the atmosphere are come from the gas hydrogen sulfide, which is released from. So the uh, the sulfur that we naturally produce, nature are not the human produced one, is hydrogen sulfide from the gas. Naturally, in the atmosphere come from the gas hydrogen sulfide. Ha. So it may be released from volcanic eruption, deep sea hydrothermal vents, and decomposition of dead animal and plant by bacteria. Okay, but also there are also not only nature, human activities like combustion of fossil fuel, industrial process, and mining process also will release hydrogen sulfide into the atmosphere also. And then this human activity can resulting in acid rain. Not only human activity, if this also can resulting in acid rain. But this the naturally process to release hydrogen sulfide is very rare. You will see that volcano is it every day have volcano eruption? No, like, but the human activity is every day produced. If every day do this kind of activity. So if we release too much of hydrogen sulfide, we will resulting in acid rain. Well, why we can resulting in acid rain? With acid rain. So this mean, so you have to know that hydrogen sulfide, it will quickly oxidize into sulfate ion. Hydrogen sulfide in the air, it will quickly oxidize by sulfate ion, but into sulfate ion by thiobacillus species. This is uh, one kind of bacteria, thiobacillus species. So hydrogen sulfide can be quickly oxidized to sulfate ion. Okay, then sulfur dioxide is soluble in water and it return to the earth in precipitation as weak sulfuric acid. This is why acid rain occur. Because the hydrogen sulfide is very unstable, and then it will quickly oxidize to sulfur, quickly oxidize to sulfate ion or sulfate ion. Sulfate ion will oxidize again to form the sulfur dioxide. Okay, then the sulfur dioxide is soluble in water. And then when it react with water, it will form sulfuric acid. This is why H2SO, why acid rain can occur. And then the sulfuric acid can contribute the pH of natural when water slightly acidic above 5.6. So it could cause the acid rain about the pH is about 5.6. This is the sulfuric acid rain occur occur. And then another organism that you have to remember is the sulfate ion enter the soil where sulfate reducing bacteria will reduce sulfate ion into hydrogen sulfide. When it is enter to the soil, there are another bacteria called disulfovibrio. It will reduce the sulfate ion into hydrogen sulfide when it is in the soil. Okay, this sulfide will maybe absorbed by the plant into their tissue to form amino acid and protein. Okay, and then last one bacteria you have to remember is the hydrogen sulfide can be oxidized again by chromatin to form uh, sulfate under anaerobic condition in sediment. So this one and this one is same, but this diobacillus is under aerobic condition, but for the chromatin it is under anaerobic condition. You have to know the differences. The reaction is totally same, but the condition is different. Diobacillus is under aerobic, chromatin is under anaerobic. You have to know lah. So these three organism you have to remember, because sometime maybe examination will come out, because only this cycle involve the microorganism in the conversion of the reaction of the chemical reaction. Okay. Okay, this is the okay. Next, the presentation. In the presence of ion, if got ion, the sulfur can precipitate as ferrous sulfide FeS2 that will be incorporated in periodic rocks. So if the atmosphere consists of ion or the land have ion, it will precipitate as FeS2, and then it will incorporate together to form periodic rock. And then the weathering of rock and the decomposition of organic matter will release sulfur to the solution which run through the river to the sea. So this is the for the weathering of rock. If the rock is weathered or there are some decomposition under for the rock, it will release the sulfur. It will release the sulfur into the solution, within the solution, and then to the V. Okay, because iron-rich rock commonly overlay coal deposit, mining can expose them to the air and water. This, and then this resulting in the discharge of sulfuric acid into aquatic ecosystem. I already say, because you have to know that sulfur dioxide is soluble in water. So if it is soluble in water, if we add with water, it will form sulfuric acid. So that is why mining process is also can cause the water pollution, water become more acidic. So that is why mining process is actually not only sound pollution can occur, but also the water pollution will occur also. Okay, next, there are certain marine algae can produce relatively large amount of the sulfurous gas dimethyl sulfide, also known as DMS. This is the special case that some of the marine algae they will produce the gas called dimethyl sulfide. So another name is called DMS. So the small particle of DMS can diffuse to the atmosphere, often to form the nucleus around the which water vapor contains. And then the DMS will form the water vapor, making up the clouds. This is the extra form information for you. Okay, so that's all for the cycle. So for the sulfur cycle, the most important thing is this. This is the most important one. Yeah, especially is these three three bacteria, three species bacteria name you have to memorize, and then you have to know each of the function. What are the conversion? What are the reaction between them? Ha. Okay, so that's it for biogeochemical cycle. So again, hopefully you can scan this feedback form for me so that I can know what problem in this video, or if you have any suggestion, any comment, you also can write it here. It is anomalous. Okay, thanks for support. Thank you. Bye.